The following readings are from the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. Each week we read from both scriptures as prescribed by Yoganandaji and by his guru Sri Yukteswarji, who was guided by Babaji to compare the two scriptures to show the same underlying truths between them. This week's reading is entitled, Can Man See God? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. There is a saying in the Gospel of St. John in the Bible that would seem to respond with a definite no to the question, Can man see God? The saying is, No man hath seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him. Many great saints, however, claim to have seen God. If we ask then, can God be seen, rather than can man see God, the answer is yes, else those saints lied, and the Scriptures themselves lied. For Jesus also said, Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. The point is, it is not man, this human body, these human eyes, that sees God. God can be seen only with spiritual vision, with the eye of the soul. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it in the 11th chapter, Thou canst not see me with mortal eyes, therefore I now give thee sight divine. Behold my supreme power of yoga. With these words, Hari, the exalted Lord of Yoga, revealed himself to Arjuna in his infinite form. Paramhansa Yogananda, in Autobiography of a Yogi, describes the supernal experience in words more readily comprehensible to modern minds than the poetic phraseology of the Bhagavad Gita. The chapter, An Experience in Cosmic Consciousness, is one of the most inspiringly beautiful in all mystical literature. Here is a brief excerpt. An oceanic joy broke upon calm, endless shores of my soul. The Spirit of God, I realized, is exhaustless bliss. His body is countless tissues of light. I saw the divine dispersion of rays pour from an eternal source, blazing into galaxies, transfigured with ineffable auras. Again and again I saw the creative beams condense into constellations, then resolve into sheets of transparent flame. By rhythmic reversion, sextillion worlds passed into diaphanous luster. Fire became firmament. I cognized the center of the Empyrean as a point of intuitive perception in my heart. Irradiating splendor issued from my nucleus to every part of the universal structure. The creative voice of God I heard resounding as Om, the vibration of the cosmic motor. This, so the great masters aver, is what God is. And this also, they insist, is what we are in our deepest reality. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Good morning, everyone. So nice to see you all. And thanks for coming. Today's reading, I feel so lucky to be on this path. We're all so lucky to have the goal so well defined for us, even if it's outside of our reach in a way. Because, it's not just a path of belief that we have, where Master said that, and so I believe it, and it must be true, even though that is part of the guru-disciple relationship. But it's not the basis of what we do. The basis is experience. experiencing the divine in our meditations, outside of our meditations. That experience is what actually convinces us that this path is true. And it's not like Master holds himself, or Swamiji held himself above everybody and said, well, I have the experiences and, you poor peons don't have any kind of experience at all. And so, too bad for you, but maybe in 50 years you'll feel what I feel. Not at all. It was just, you can have it now also. You can have an experience of God also. You can feel the presence of the divine also right now. You don't have to wait. There's probably a few prerequisites that are important to have, unless God just says, hey, I'm giving you some grace today, and you just get to feel my presence anyway. And, we were watching recently a movie called The Song of Bernadette, and it's about a great saint. Her name was Bernadette. Did she end up being called Saint Bernadette? I guess that's what she's called. They didn't change her name. Okay. And her guru was Christ, but she was not embedded in her religion, even though she grew up in her religion. But she had experience, great experience. If you haven't seen the movie, I think you can rent it on Amazon Prime or iTunes. We bought it on iTunes because we love it so much. And periodically we show it at Christmas when we show our Christmas movies. Might be time at some point, but what's so lovely about this movie is, and it's from 1943, so it's black and white, and I know some people say, oh, I don't like old movies, but the spirit of the movie is so beautiful, and Master watched this movie quite a few times, and so Bernadette had her experience of Divine Mother. She first of all, you could tell she lived in her heart. Even the actress who played her said she felt a transformation in playing this role. So it's very special for her. And so she did a really good job acting like Bernadette and conveying the vibration of Bernadette. I'm sure Bernadette was really pleased. There was some movie being made about her, and she gave some extra special blessings to people involved. So Bernadette had an experience of the Divine Mother, and she was so humble. At first she didn't even know what had happened. Because she wasn't so embedded in her strict religion, it didn't make her question what was happening because the experience was so powerful. And she thought, what? You can't see it also? You can't see her also? She wasn't, I just had an experience of Divine Mother and it was special only for me. None of that. It was just, what? You didn't see her also? And she ended up drawing crowds and crowds of people from all over. And of course, some would have come just based on belief. She said she experienced, so I'm going to come also and get what I can get. But then I'm sure others who were there felt the vibration, even if they didn't see Divine Mother. They would have felt the sacredness of the environment where it happened. They would have felt the blessing that Divine Mother was giving everybody, not just Bernadette. And the Divine Mother said, please come here for 15 days. And so she ended up being able to. Her parents said, no, you cannot go. You'll create a spectacle. And besides, you're lying. And then in her own way, she was able to persuade her mother in her own very humble way, she was able to persuade her mother that she needed to go because it was causing suffering, because Divine Mother said, come. And her heart was just longing for it. And so finally they allowed her. And yes, miracles happened. She founded at one point a spring grew out of the ground. And Divine Mother said, dig over there. And she got her whole face and everything full of mud. And, people who were conflicted about the whole thing made fun of her. Ha ha, she got dirty. And then suddenly this sacred spring came out that healed all these people of their afflictions. So, the miracles can aid in believing, yes. But all those people many people came who could feel before any miracles happened. Of course, it's a miracle that Divine Mother was appearing to her. But to those who couldn't see Divine Mother but felt the vibration, that's very often like us on this path. That it's very possible to communicate with Divine Mother, to have her communicate back. That's all very possible. But on the other hand, we can also feel the vibration. And this is where intuition comes in, where Master and Swamiji spoke so much about developing intuition. And isn't that wonderful? That's part of this path. Develop your intuition so you can feel the divine more. It's like, wow, great tool. And it's something you can work on. You can work on getting better into intuition. And of course, there's a few prerequisites to being able to have intuition. And so we have the ability to feel that vibration. We have the ability to experience the presence of the divine. And Master had his 8 aspects of the divine that I always forget how to just rattle them off. I can't say that I have a great memory. But love, light, peace, calmness, wisdom, sound, power, joy. Even if you don't have a great memory, it doesn't matter, because if you feel God's presence, that's the most important thing. Not that you can just list the ways he comes. I can list the way God comes to me, or comes to someone. And so that's what Master said. I believe it, although I do believe it. But, and some of these qualities come to us naturally. Some are maybe a little harder, and everybody's going to be different. Who gets to feel this versus that? It doesn't matter. But, I tend to feel that people can feel peace easily. And it's a great place to start in general, is to just try and feel peace. But what's interesting is so many people discount what they experience. And this is what I love about the affirmation contentment. Swamiji said, that was our affirmation today. Swamiji said that contentment is being in the moment, in the experience, in the moment, and not wishing things were other than they are. So, when you feel peace, how many say, yes, but it should have been bigger, it should have been stronger, it should have been something, wow, happening. It should have been. It's just so out of the moment to say, my experience of God should have been something else. And for people to feel that peace and not acknowledge that that is really God's presence coming. There's always this yes, but. I see it all the time in classes. Yes, but. It's like, There is no yes, but. God came to you. And you can judge it as small or large. Any small experience can be puffed on and become large. But when we're restless and don't want to be in the moment, then we miss the experience. We miss our own contentment in the experience. There's no need to wish for more, except in the longing of the heart, which is a sincere thing, but that longing is in the moment. It's not thinking of the future. It's not, oh, I long to be free. It's that is like a theoretical thought in the future. I long for enlightenment. No, that's not a real feeling. You can say it all you want, but it's not real. Real is, I love you and you take my breath away. And there's nothing else. And so, one thing I wanted to suggest to do is during your meditation or after your meditation, just practice this. Just say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, over and over again. And try it for a week. Maybe the first few days you think, I don't really like to say those words. I don't even say them to others. Why would I say them also out loud? I would love to see people start to say I love you to their spouses and to their children, because it's a way to give. It's a way to give. And what relationship works when we don't give back in some way? If we are in a relationship and we only take, and I would suggest people say this to their mothers also. Fathers might be a little harder. Fathers might say, bah humbug, you never know. But if you have a soft father, nice opportunity. But say it to your mother, who has fed you and clothed you and slaved away for you. Because when you say it to your mother, you are also saying it to Divine Mother. And so just, I love you, I love you, I love you. Get used to saying it to the Divine, because what happens? We are then giving back to God. We often make our relationship with God, you give me this, thank you. Just a brief little thank you. I don't have to give back. God gives everything, right? I don't have to give back. But if you really want an experience of the divine, if you really want to have a relationship with the divine, you have to give back. If you are just praying for things or going to the temple just to get something, please start giving back. Start giving your love back. This is how there's a circuit that happens. You give and you get. And I don't want to set it up as Vaishya, where, okay, I give, now give back. Because if you give with that spirit, it's not truly giving. It's just Vaishya. It's just, I paid my bill, now give me the give me the receipt, or give me the bill of, give me the goods that I paid for. It can't be that. God wants our love in payment. If we are only taking from God, how can we, taking things of this earth from God, I should say, how is it we're developing any kind of relationship? Like I said, no relationship can be created without giving. Maybe you've gotten away with it your whole life, not having to give back, just taking. Stop it. Give back. And so when we give back to the divine, like I said, it creates a circuit. And the bliss and the love that comes back when you give your love is incredible. And it's a requirement for that relationship. We talk about it in classes and things like that, but sometimes we just have a hard head and it doesn't sink in. But we have to give that love in order to get that relationship, in order to feel that vibration. And if we're just in our head all the time, it's not going to do it. It's just not. If we can't get to a place of calmness, to a place of peace and non-restlessness, you're not going to feel it. Master said something like sound is the easiest thing to feel, right? He said sound. And yet so many people have a hard time with the Om technique. Why did he say sound was so easy? Because if your heart is not restless, you can hear Om. But start with peace. That just seems so much easier for people. Start with peace and acknowledging when peace comes. And spending time in that peace. Because what do? We feel a little peace at the end of our meditation and say, yay, I feel some peace. Time to get up and do everything else. Instead of acknowledging that peace that came, that peace will remain small if you just hop up and go on and do things. That peace is a gift from the divine, and we have to say thank you back, or I love you back, but not just mentally. We have to feel it. We have to bring love into the way we give back. It's the only way. And, we talk about bringing light into the brain, which is another aspect of the divine, the light. Very often we'll see a little part of the spiritual eye, which is a part of the astral body, and the tunnel we go through when we leave the body. We can see a little bit of that in our heads when our eyes are closed. Not when we're staring at a light and close our eyes, but try it. Turn off the light. There was one guy in Palo Alto who would wear an eye mask during meditation because he wanted to make sure he was seeing divine light and not just light in the room. Not a bad idea. He's a long-time devotee. He probably still does it. And so we can see that divine light of the astral world, but then there's another light that when your brain is filled with white light, you can feel almost blinded by that light. That's light of the divine that comes to us. Master said, when we're practicing meditation and we're bringing the energy up to here, the light can fill the brain. The goal is to fill the brain with light. And light also needs love, meaning the brain is filled with light and we have the opportunity to be in higher consciousness. And that higher consciousness must have love mixed in with it. It has to, for you to give back to Master or back to the divine for bringing you that light. But higher consciousness takes you to a point where you can suddenly see things in their perspective. We all have this ability. Suddenly, after meditation, all the little petty hurts, all the little petty things going on in our hearts disappear. We used to go and visit Swamiji, and I would, and masters, people said this happened to them with master, but with Swamiji, I would think of questions that were probably based in petty little hurts and things like that. And then being in his presence, it would all go away because his consciousness was so high, it lifted me out of my little petty hurts, petty competitions, all these little small things just disappear. And that's not a spiritual bypass. The spiritual bypass is when we have a deep, deep hurt or grief, a real feeling that needs to be resolved. And we think we shouldn't feel it. And so therefore we meditate and try and just stay out of it. But that hurt keeps dragging us down. It means something needs to be resolved. And that's part of the human part of us. Or you use your meditation to help you heal it, but you acknowledge it. You don't pretend it's not there. But the petty things are the things that run through our mind just on a daily basis, whether it's when we're meditating or when we're just walking around or at work, hating certain people or whatever it is. Those are the petty things that, do we really want to live in that petty stuff? This is where meditation helps lift the vibration, lift the consciousness, and you cannot not feel love when you are in higher consciousness. If you think you're in higher consciousness and you don't feel love, I question whether it's really higher consciousness. Even Sri Yukteswarji, who when we read about in the AY and we shiver in our shoes thinking if we had to deal with that, what? I just flipped the corner of a carpet and now you're telling everybody I'm a stupid person or whatever it was he called Master. Huh? Would I be able to handle that? But Master, being the avatar, truly understood. He was giving an example, of course, of correction. And he even pointed out what the correction was for. You're going to experience so much more humiliation in America. So I'm giving you humiliation now. You have to deal with it. What would you do if you're humiliated? I'm making you stronger by humiliating you now. So you recognize that feeling when people are trying to humiliate you nonstop in America. So, I think people in America love to bring someone down. Oh, you think you're so high and mighty, I'm going to bring you down. Whereas here there's kind of a natural, oh, he's an avatar? Okay. He's the guru? Great. I believe in those things because, my cousin down the road is actually, enlightened. And so it's like, I've seen that. Or I've walked into, 100 saints' houses and I know what that vibration feels like. It's very uplifting. It does exist. Whereas people who want to bring it down have never felt it or experienced it. And so we have that blessing to experience it and feel it. But Sri Yukteswarji said you can't take a step forward on the spiritual path without love in your heart. So even the most stern, it seems, guru can even say this. It's not just about some heady self-realization thing that does not involve the heart. It's just not possible to skip this step. So, let's see. One other thing about peace in the heart is when we practice peace long enough, then it can lead to contentment and calmness. And calmness is the version of peace, I would say, that is lasting. Calmness is when the waves in the heart are no longer disturbed as much. Of course, things happen and we get disturbed. But what our training, especially as yogis, is when something difficult happens, how soon can we turn to the divine to get help? And I don't mean just pleading for grace, even though that might be the best thing we can do in the moment. But I also mean really asking your true friend that you've developed this relationship with, what do I do next? What's for my higher good to do next in this situation? Tell me. And not just, run to someone else and complain, or run to someone else and, just get comfort. Although nothing's wrong with comfort, I have to say. But try and wean yourself off of human comfort. I don't mean no longer nurture your relationships, but in reality, human comfort, which is great, but God's comfort, once you start getting it, is so much more. So it's not like we're renouncing human comfort at all, but seeing it for what it is, which is it's different than God's comfort. And human comfort is important. That involves the heart. That's a way someone can give. That's a way we can receive. And, do we just need to dry up as yogis? No, we don't need to just be dry. But if we can learn to wean our dependence on that and instead begin to truly feel it from the divine, then you realize that the best comfort comes from God and our guru. That's where the best comfort comes from. So when that comes, then a calmness comes also. Meditation will consistently begin to calm the waves of disgruntlement in the heart and consistently work on us so that we just become trees in the earth with long roots, and someone pushes on us and we just stay still. And I don't mean like a ninja or something like, I I mean it happens and we say, Master, what do I do? Immediately, Master, what do I do? And I want only what you want in this circumstance, because we want to be in Dharma. I want only what you want in this circumstance, and you give good guidance. Master gives so much good guidance that's surprising. Oh, really? That's what you want? And what do we normally do? No, that's not what I should do. I should do this instead. But you want to meditate on that guidance and just kind of see. This is where we work on our intuition and everything. So over time, we gain that calmness and we practice contentment. And remember, contentment is not a passive state. It's not, I'm just accepting things as they are, and, whatever happens. Contentment is really being in the moment, saying, Master, what do you want me to do? Should I change my circumstances, or do I just live through it or move through it? What would you prefer? I've had many circumstances where I just wanted to bolt. And I got the guidance, you are to stay. And even in a few cases, Swamiji said, "You are to stay." and so when you get that guidance to stay, you endure through whatever you're facing. Yeah, I think it's human nature to want to just bolt, to just want to get out of there. But if that's what the guidance says to do, do that. Otherwise, move through it and we become stronger. And we learn to endure, we learn to be self-contained in difficult circumstances. We learn how to be more emotionally mature, which is a big part of the spiritual path, becoming emotionally mature. So, and there, I bet, and maybe I'm wording this wrong, but I doubt Master and Swamiji ever regretted a negative experience they've been through, because they saw the benefits of what it was. Master probably would go through it just because it would help the other person. I know Swamiji has done that much because it was helping the other person and he had a higher consciousness around it. How many bad experiences do we have that we still are holding on to and not seeing the value that it brought us? You know, sometimes when I'm going through a really hard time, I'll say, Master, let me know in a year some more insight on this. Because in the moment, you can't necessarily really get that. But let me know in a year what that meant. If you want to tell me. Usually after a year, after a terrible incident, you have some composure, you have some learning you've done, and you're able to say, okay, or you may not even care after a year. Why? Because it might have come to you sooner. But we very often say, why this, why this, why this? It should be something else, it should be something else, it should be something else. My asking Master for a year is the way I trick myself into trying to not continuously say, why this, why this, why this? We want to move through an experience. We can ask the divine, why this? Can I go now? Can I go now? Can I dump this person now? Can I, whatever it is. But if we listen, no, stay, work through it, we might go through a very difficult time and then become stronger out the other end. Or we're just burning off bad karma. Of course, there's the debate, what's bad, what's good? Was it bad karma if we learned a lot about it? No, it was not. But it was difficult karma. I think we can all agree on that. Difficult karma brings emotional difficulty. So these are all human things that the yogi goes through. We don't just do a spiritual bypass and say, oh, everything's just fine because God is just taking care of it all. Because there's no deep experience that's based on. Someone can say that who is a saint, and when they say it, there's deep experience in that. But if we're doing just some bypass thing, then we're living kind of in fantasy to avoid what's actually going on in the moment. And we don't want to do that either. But I don't want to denigrate belief either, in that sometimes belief can get us through a hard time either when we can't feel. Sometimes we're so upset we can't feel. But if you've been on the path long enough and you've been doing the readings and everything, you might only have belief to hold on to. Okay, that, you can't just say, but I've got to have an experience to move through it. Okay, you can base things on your belief, but my guess is you have felt peace many times. And that is not based on belief. That's based on experience. And that's something also you can hold on to. I know God is real because I have felt peace. And I have felt other things, or I have seen the light, or I have heard sounds during Om, or I have felt deep guidance that was opposite of my intuition that worked. That would be the wisdom aspect of the divine. Or I felt I couldn't get through it, and yet I felt an inner strength come upon me, and I made it. And that is God's power coming through. When we feel our spine suddenly being powered up to move through something difficult. So God comes to us in all these ways. And then, of course, joy. Let's not forget, as yogis, to enjoy our life and try and really have enjoyment. And, sometimes there's some really good movies out there that create a lot of enjoyment. Sometimes we'll watch a completely trivial movie, but it's happy, And then sometimes we like to watch the deep spiritual ones, and those are inspiring. And so anyway, let's just say to the divine for this next week, at the end of our meditation, I love you, I love you, I love you. And again, maybe nothing happens at first, but then maybe something does. Think about giving back. And in your own relationships, how can you give back and not just take? And the only reason to say that is not like, how can you just take? That's so selfish. It's not about shaming. What it's about is, how can you take? Because if you only take, you get nothing of real value back. That to feel the divine back and to develop that relationship, we must give back. So it's so possible to feel God's presence in such a divine way, and to live in gratitude and live in just love. So, okay, everyone? Thank you.